Welcome back to another episode of Character Highlights. Today we're going to be checking out Sigret. So today we're looking at Sigret. Sigret is a warrior of finesse who never fails to cut down the enemy when they are at their weakest. So for her skill 3, she has an attack called Guillotine. Now what this does is it allows her to penetrate defense for every debuff inflicted on the enemy. So if you can manage to get the 10 debuffs, you get true damage on her skill 3. Really powerful skill. Her skill 2 gives you an anti-heal and a bleed when it's at max skill ups. It gets 100%. Now if they're below 50%, she'll automatically use her skill 1, which gives her basically double damage because they have nearly the same multiplier. So her skill 1 is an attack with a 25% chance each of inflicting 2 bleeding effects for 2 turns. So potentially you can stack 2 bleeds with her skill 1, which is really strong. I think CERN is the only other character that stacks 2 bleeds on a skill 1. For skill ups, you have 2 options. You can pair her with another character that has a great deal of debuffs and then go her skill 3 first, which will give you the extra turn cooldown on it and extra damage, and then go skill 2, which will give you a 100% chance on her anti-heal and bleed, and then go skill 1. Otherwise, if you're not running with debuffers, you'll really want to go the skill 2 first, because you want to get that 100% chance on the skill 2 to debuff, because otherwise her skill 3 is going to hit like a wet noodle. It's really not that great damage unless you have around 5 debuffs is where her skill 3 really starts swinging. You'll go skill 1 last. As far as her strengths go, she has really high base attack once you get all her awakenings. Also, she ramps up her damage as the enemy gets lower on HP, which makes her an ideal damage dealer for raids, as the bosses get extra effects typically once they get below certain HP thresholds. So that'll help you get some extra damage to get that execute on the boss. She's also really good at wyverns because she has a crazy amount of damage because she has the elemental advantage, she has the bleeds, she has debuffs. She's really good at wyverns. Her skill 2 will help you nuke the shield once the boss is below 50%. Sigret is also a really good attacker in arena because, as I said earlier, her AI is really smart. It won't use the skill 3 first, it'll use the skill 2, which sometimes basically allows her to do what Says does, where she'll go in, use the skill 2. If they get below half HP, she comes in, swings with that skill 1, and usually kills them. As far as her weaknesses, her damage is really subpar if the target is not below 50% HP or if they're not debuffed. So she kind of requires those to become a good damage dealer. Otherwise, she's outclassed by most assassins and some other warriors, especially since she doesn't really have any utility in her kit except for her anti-heal. She just does damage and does it very well once you get the boss low. For gear on Sigret, I would look for your 4-piece sets, an attack set, or crit damage. You could go a lifesteal set. I don't really tend to like lifesteal sets on single target attackers though, but if that's your best set, which for some people it will be because of the Abyss lifesteal set, then you can definitely do that as well. For your 2-piece sets, I would go crit or hit. Crit because needs crit to do good damage, and the hit set is because she has a lot of debuffs. You want to land your debuffs if you want to get that extra damage on her skill 3. For your percent stats on your right side gear, for your necklace, I would look for crit damage, or attack. The choice between those really depends on how much crit you can get from your substats and crit damage that you can get from your substats as well as what set you're running on your gear. For the ring, I would go effectiveness or attack, depending on whether you have enough effectiveness to land your debuffs. For the last slot on the boots, I would go speed or attack, preferably speed, again, unless you have godlike speed subs. For artifacts that you could use on Sigret, the best one, in my opinion, is Uberius' Tooth. This gives you extra damage on critical attacks, which you should be getting if you're running a Sigret. Also, all of her attacks are single target. Next best item for PvE specifically is Sigret's Scythe, and that's because in PvP you're probably not going to live to get any value from this, because most attackers in PvP are just going to nuke her. So for 4-star artifacts, I would recommend a Hell Cutter. This is going to give her some attack and some crit rate. You can do Else Fist, but again, unless you're doing PvE, in PvP, she's just going to get nuked and not get any value from this. So I wouldn't recommend that one. For 3-star artifacts on her, I would recommend either Mighty Yaksha, Ascending Axe, Daydream Joker, Exorcist Tonfa, or Oath Key if you're off elements. For these 3-star artifacts, the best ones for her, I would say, are either Daydream Joker if you're doing high level Abyss or Raid, or the Exorcist Tonfa. The Exorcist Tonfa specifically is the best one on her because you get extra damage when the target is above 50% HP. Because she's most ideal once your target is below 50% HP, because then she gets the extra attack on her 3-turn cooldown skill 2. So really nice. As far as pairings for Sigret, she really just pairs well with anything that can stack a crap ton of debuffs and keep them there. Honestly, the only way you could really go wrong with Sigret is to not bring debuffs. That's the only kind of character that doesn't go well with her. So that's all for today's episode. Hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment, subscribe. Hop up in the comments down there. Let me know what kind of content you want to see, what kind of ideas you guys have. I got some ideas. We're working on some more videos this upcoming week, and hopefully you guys will like them. I think the next video is going to be a comparison of rod versus staff for mages as far as which one gives better healing. So hopefully that's something you guys will be interested in, so you can tune in later this week. Max out.